Hello, and thank you for joining us. Southern California is bracing for another round of strong winds that could exacerbate the wildfires burning throughout Los Angeles County. At least 24 people are dead, and officials warn that number is likely to rise, with dozens still missing. More than 90,000 people who live near the fire zones remain under evacuation orders. Now, the two largest fires are still burning after 6 straight days. The massive Palisades fire along the coast is at 14% containment as of Monday night. The Eaton fire near Pasadena is at 33% containment. Crews have also made significant progress with the smaller Hearst fire, which is at 95% containment. Local officials say the fires have burned more than 60 square miles in the Los Angeles area. More than 12,000 structures have been destroyed, including homes, businesses, schools, and places of worship. One woman whose home near the Palisades fire is still standing says she's worried about what's to come in the days ahead.
We're absolutely terrified. We've left everything behind. We have no insurance. We stand to lose everything if the winds blow the fire back into Topanga and it burns the whole of Fernwood and Topanga down. So we're just praying and hoping that doesn't happen, but we're very scared.
Joining us now is Los Angeles County Fire Department Captain Sheila Kelliher. Captain, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
How much progress was made over the weekend to contain the fires, and could these incoming winds hinder the progress?
Listen, we did a lot of incredible work over the last 2 days when those winds lied down a bit. Our crews are out there, especially in the Mandible Canyon area, and really worked on that ridge and the ridges ahead in anticipation of these winds coming and really getting it with fire retardant and getting everything prepared. We have crews where they belong. Everybody's in place. Everybody knows the mission. Everybody knows the game plan, because when the winds start blowing, we will have our hands full, but we are ready for what's coming our way.
What would you say is the number one challenge that your department faces?
I would say right now the number one challenge is Mother Nature and what these winds are going to do the next 2 days, because these winds can be unpredictable and they're coming from the northeast. And as they blow over that canyon that we've just been working, they tend to swirl and really pick up steam. So it doesn't look like we're going to get the 100-mile-an-hour winds like we had the hurricane winds, but 60, 70 mile an hour can really cause a lot of havoc and extreme fire behavior. People are in position, we're ready to go. And I think our biggest challenge is if something breaks out outside of this fire footprint, then, you know, we've just got another whole situation on our hands.
Right. I'm going to ask you about that. 60, 70 miles an hour winds could still transport those burning embers. Are you concerned we could see more brush fires develop? And would that force resources to divert again? Or do you feel like you have enough teams on the ground from other states, other jurisdictions to manage anything that may come up?
You know, it's pretty incredible. As I drove into base camp this morning at 5 a.m. and you see there's 5,000 firefighters on this fire working. There's 515 engines. We have 115 camp crews, 55 helicopters, water tenders. It's insane, the resources we have. So we're in a great position right now, ready for what's coming. And, you know, we'll see what Mother Nature does, hopefully. But we do have our contingency plans. The fires behaved like we thought it would the last couple of days. And again, there's no flare-ups right now. There's no big smoke columns. So we're in a good position to take on this next offense by Mother Nature.
Do you care to divulge any of the contingency plan in layman's terms?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So when you, a good way to look at it is like Ridge A is where we really put all the resources in and really try to stop those spot fires. But we're looking ahead to Ridge B and C and down the line and kind of hitting those with fire retardant in case the winds really start blowing hard and those helicopters have to be grounded for any reason. We've already kind of pre-treated that area to kind of slow the spread so we can get after it. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you for explaining that, Captain. Now, I know that there will be plenty of time once the fires are contained to talk about what happens next, how Los Angeles County can be more fire resistant in the future. We know when these fires broke out that water demand was at 4 times the normal amount. Fire hydrants couldn't maintain pressure. Would you encourage the county to rethink how it stores water or prepares for these types of events?
I would say this is that, and I believe I'm echoing what my fire chief has said, there's not enough resources in the state of California that could have stopped a 100-mile-an-hour wall of fire that blew through here on January 7th as much as it did. After the fact, we're able to get our arms around it somewhat, but no one could stop that. At the end of the day, it is just brutal to see what those conditions were like.
So, Captain, if there's nothing that county officials can do, what would be your message to the people who live there who hopefully will not, but could potentially be living in fear as we know that climate change continues to be a harsh reality for our planet?
That's true. And there's a lot of research and stuff and opportunity out there for if you are living in the urban wildland interface, the construction type, the construction material, the way those communities are planned. Remember, these communities were built, 100 years ago when this wasn't an issue. So things were built differently. So moving forward, there's plenty of examples out there to how to build and live in Mother Nature, but be more fire resistant. I think that would have to be our plan going forward.
Captain Sheila Kelliher, long days for you and your crew members. We are thinking about you in the days ahead as these winds pick up. Thank you for the work that you do, and thank you for sparing some minutes to talk to us about your efforts.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Take care, Captain. CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano joins us now from Altadena, California. Lilia, obviously an area hit incredibly hard in the initial stages last week. When do we expect these strong winds to hit the area, and how long could they stick around for?
Well, Lindsay, this particularly dangerous situation, that is the kind of warning, which is an extremely rare warning. It has only happened a handful of times in recent times, given by the National Weather Service, is supposed to be set in place up until the end of those winds, which is Wednesday at noon. So we have not seen the worst of what we were hearing about just now. The winds are expected to pick up at around the worst of it at around 4 a.m., so right before dawn. Of course, what we have learned directly from different fire crews that have come from across the state of California, from multiple states, and even from Canada and Mexico, is that they're doing everything they can to contain that fire. People here are only entering, those who are evacuated, those who lost their homes, the very beginning of realizing what this means for them. I have been talking to people who lost their homes, who are still, some of them in shelters and hotels. Even those who have insurance are trying to make sense of what losing everything actually means for them. And look, it's so important to remind you, Lindsay, I mean, I lived in California for many years, and I covered the housing crisis. It's one of the worst housing crises anywhere in the country. So now you're dealing with an even smaller, an even tighter shortage of housing in a place where rents were incredibly high, and not everybody has insurance. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to have to leave, and people who work here, who have a life here, who have a family and a community here. And here in Altadena, it's so heartbreaking. We're talking about a diverse community. We're talking about people who, are very low income and who do rely on that community. I was just talking to somebody who it's 3 generations of a family that live in a home, and they're trying to figure out what routine is going to look like, and how they're going to be able to continue to, make ends meet and stay together, which is so important for them.
Certainly thousands of people displaced in an area, like you said, that was already experiencing a housing shortage. Lilia, are there still homes and businesses inside the fire zones and under threat right now?
The question is, what is a fire zone when you are faced with 70-mile-an-hour winds? If we enter that situation, those embers from, if areas that didn't burn start burning again, those embers could travel up to, miles away. So yes, they have been trying and working really hard to mop the area, to cool the areas for when those winds pick up. But it's not just Los Angeles. I mean, Ventura County is still under those warnings. So we're talking about one of the largest sprawling cities in the country where, yes, the Eaton fire, this one the area that affected this area where we are is at 33% containment. That's not 50%. But the Palisades fire is only at 14% containment. So it's so hard for officials and for first responders and for locals here to just predict or imagine what this all means when we are still, when there's such still active fire zones, and when those winds could be so dangerous for countless communities in this area.
Lilia Luciano, as always, thank you for your compassionate and contextual reporting. We appreciate you.